For more than 120 years, the First Christian Church has been right here in the heart of the city of Edmond. It's here where we discovered our calling to be a community of faith formation and transformation, a place where people come to encounter God and to reach out to those in need in the name of Jesus Christ. It's here where our doors and our hearts are open so that all may experience God's welcome and God's love. And now, after two of the longest and strangest years of my ministry, I'm excited to share some good news about how our leaders have been caring for this place that you know and love as your church home. Back in 2019, we launched a fundraising campaign that we called Here for Good. Here for Good describes who we are as a church, and it's a reminder that God planted us right here for the good of this city and its people. The goals of Here for Good were to raise $600,000 over 30 months and refresh and upgrade some of our highest usage spaces and entry points. Spaces that we enjoy as a community of faith and spaces that we share with the community of Edmond. We wanted to better illuminate our worship space, renovate our coffee bar, replace tired and worn out flooring, refresh old restrooms, and upgrade audio-visual technology. All of that with the goal of making our spaces more functional, more comfortable, and more welcoming for our guests in the place that you call home.
10 months after we launched Here for Good, COVID hit and our world changed. Like most nonprofit organizations and churches, we took a fiscally conservative approach. Our church board was cautious with spending while remaining faithful to our core commitments. And all through 2020 and 2021, you remained generous with your giving despite all the uncertainty we faced. So while things didn't go 100% as originally planned, we are excited to share that through the Here for Good campaign, we raised almost $300,000 of the $600,000 goal. And along the way, we had a few unexpected events. A lightning strike to our steeple, a car crashed through our rotunda front doors. But with your gifts and insurance reimbursements, we achieved many of our Here for Good plans, including payments to the large parking lot projects that we built 3 years ago. Here are some of the other things that we also accomplished in the last 2 years that you might not be aware of. We enhanced our worship technology by installing new lighting, cameras, projectors, and computers. These have not only improved both our in-person and online worship experiences, but they've allowed us to welcome authors and scholars remotely and enhance many of our learning experiences. Our community partners have come in person, like Russell Doherty Elementary, the Boy Scouts, and other community partners. We replaced tired and worn carpet and flooring in highly trafficked areas like our rotunda, sanctuary hallways, fellowship hall, and the children's education building. Through Here for Good, we made significant upgrades to this space, our fellowship hall, which we call the Public Commons. In addition to flooring, we installed a state-of-the-art zone sound system, screens, and projectors. We also added fresh paint, new lighting, and built a new coffee bar and built-in serving bars with storage. It's here where multiple generations gather for meals and conversation. On Wednesday nights, a leadership class gathered in person and online in one zone, while right next door, children sang, danced, served, and heard the stories about the life of Jesus. Throughout the year, we welcome community partners into this space, like the annual police breakfast, the Edmond Public Schools Foundation fundraiser, and a back-to-school resource fair with Project 66. And this summer, on Sunday mornings, we're all looking forward to gathering in this place for conversation and connection as we practice our faith, deepen our relationships, and explore new ways to serve our Edmond community.
And now we are ready to take the next steps with Here for Good 2.0. Over the next 3 years, we plan to complete some of the Here for Good dreams that were deferred by the pandemic and add a few new projects vital to the hospitality and comfort for our members and guests. Through Here for Good 2.0, we hope to raise $550,000 over the next 3 years. The money we raise will help fund several strategic priorities that will care for our facilities and improve our capacity to welcome and engage new people in our community. One of the urgent and emerging issues we need to address for the long-term comfort of our members and guests is the replacement of our aging heat and air conditioning units. Our campus has 27 of these units. As these climate control systems age and fail, our board made a strategic decision to hire an engineer to develop a multi-year replacement plan. And I was here in 1996 when we built the sanctuary. And while this may not be the first time I've laid eyes on this 27-ton heat and air unit, the staff would probably rather not hear about those teenage adventures. And now it's time to replace this one and the sister unit on the other side of the sanctuary. We all know how brutal those Oklahoma summers can be and how cold our Oklahoma winters can get. It will cost $120,000 to purchase and install 2 new commercial grade units and to remove the old ones. We all know the importance of these systems as we gather for worship and host other community events. Here for Good 2.0 includes funding to replace these 2 units so we can continue to worship comfortably in our sanctuary. Another thing we'll do with Here for Good 2.0 funds is continue to make loan payments for our parking lot. But why are we paying for the parking lot, you ask? If you've been here for less than 6 years, you may not have a memory of a time when our parking lot was once divided by a city street called Jackson. Here's a look back at what things looked like just a few short years ago. We owned a parking lot across that street, along with a dry cleaner building. We parked at the cleaners on Sundays, and every day our children had to cross Jackson to get to one of our school playgrounds. In 2015, we took a leap and decided to go from that church on the corner to that church campus on the corner. I served on the building committee that sought permission from the city of Edmond to close a section of Jackson Street that cut our campus in 2. We demolished the old dry cleaner building and relocated electrical, gas, water, and cable utilities. Let's take a virtual tour of what it looks like now. The closing of Jackson created a unified campus with room for future growth, enabling us to continue to grow and meet the needs of Edmond. Our children no longer cross a busy street to play and now enjoy 2 new playgrounds right outside our doors. Visitors find good parking and easy access to our buildings, and seniors have reserved parking near the doors. As Edmond continues to revitalize the downtown area, as UCO continues to grow, we are here for the good of our community and serve as an anchor here in the heart of Edmond. And because we chose to use reinforced concrete rather than asphalt, this parking lot should serve our guests and us well for the next 40 years. Even during a pandemic, we've made dramatic progress on the $1.2 million construction loan that allows us to do this strategic infrastructure project. Here for Good 2.0 will help us reduce the current $386,000 balance remaining on this loan.
One of the core values we affirmed more than 10 years ago was to be a church of open doors and hospitality. Hospitality creates space and embraces people so they can be transformed. But before transformation happens, people take their first steps inside these doors. Hospitality requires knowing what people need and expect. And research tells us 7 key things can make or break a guest's first impression. So, what do people experience in those first few minutes on our campus? Parking lots, landscaping, greeters, signage, carpet, restrooms, and coffee. We have made many improvements in most of these areas in recent months, but there is still more work to be done. Through Here for Good 2.0, we will make a strategic investment in branding, wayfinding signage, a mission gallery, and communication tools that help us interpret and share the story of who we are, who we serve, and why we exist. Whether you are the person walking through our doors for the very first time or returning after a season away, we want to extend that type of welcoming hospitality.
So if restrooms are one of the things that make for a good or bad impression, it's worth noting that our primary restrooms were originally installed in 1996 when our new sanctuary and classrooms were built. One of the projects deferred from Here for Good was our primary restrooms located here right off the rotunda. It's worth noting that our new guests, new members, typically use these restrooms when visiting our church for the first time. Let's take a peek inside so that we can see what they look like. After 26 years of use, these spaces are looking pretty dated and worn. For young families looking for a church home, modern features like touchless faucets and dispensers are the new standard. Modernizing these spaces can help us make a much better impression on our guests. I'm excited to share that through a generous gift of $45,000 in matching funds, we could finalize plans to renovate both the men's and women's restrooms as soon as we match that $45,000, hopefully within the first 90 days of the campaign.
I believe one of the most important roles of a leader of our church is to be a faithful steward of the gifts that have been given by our members to do the work of God. Having a properly funded cash reserve is key to that good stewardship. In the business and nonprofit worlds, a best practice is to have 3 to 6 months of budgeted expenses in a cash reserve in case of an emergency. At First Christian, when we were hit with the challenges of COVID-19, we were blessed to have a cash reserve that could be tapped to keep our church moving forward. As we were social distancing at home, we still had to pay our utilities, perform regular maintenance, pay our staff, fulfill our outreach obligations, and devise new ways to do programming outside and online. So, part of our Here for Good 2.0 will be to replenish our reserve. We may not be able to predict what will happen, but we do know that smart fiscal planning now can soften the impact of some unknown disruption in the future.
We've been here for good for more than 120 years, and despite all the disruptions we've faced these last 2 years, we're still here. It's amazing all that we were able to accomplish through Here for Good, and I'm excited about the plans in place for Here for Good 2.0. While we didn't meet every goal of the original Here for Good project list, I'm incredibly thankful for all the good we did together these last 2 years. Because no matter what we've faced, we've remained here for each other and our community. We've found some innovative ways to grow in our faith and stay connected even when we were apart. And we've been here, loving, serving, and caring for our neighbors, and we hope that you'll join us in committing to give to Here for Good 2.0. Let's continue the work we began in 2019 so we can be here for the good of generations growing up here now and generations to come.